The executive orders are truly a thing of beauty. I'm so happy about these. I mean, there are going to be legal challenges on these within 2 minutes, some of these in particular, but let's just talk about what they are. All right, this is a summary. On the border, close the border to asylum-seeking migrants, resume border wall construction, declare an end to birthright citizenship. Now, that one's going to be tricky because it's in the Constitution. Yep. Trump thinks that there's a loophole in it because it says you have to be subject to the jurisdiction of the United States in order for this to apply. And there's a legal argument that you're not if you're just born here to somebody who's here. That's going to play out for the first time, once and for all. Conservatives have been wanting to have this fight, and they're about to get it. Involve the U.S. military in border security. This, too, is going to draw immediate legal challenges because we have strict limits in our law for how our military is used. Declare migrant crossings across the U.S.-Mexico border to be a national emergency. The Wall Street Journal noting that this would allow Trump to unilaterally unlock federal funding for border wall construction without approval from Congress, et cetera. Designate drug cartels as global terrorists. That CBP-1, this app that Biden's been allowing these illegals to use, offering 40,000 supposed appointments a month. Like, we're supposed to allow the border to be open because these people were going to go through this orderly process by using the app and then show up to their asylum hearings. It hasn't worked at all. We've opened the door, we let them loose. They don't show up to the asylum hearings. We never follow up. And even if they show up to the asylum hearings and we say, you don't get asylum, they just leave and we don't arrest them. We never even try to track them down. It's a nightmare. That's over. It's no longer available and existing appointments have all been canceled. Right on. Okay, gender and diversity. This is the one. Hold on, because I have a better description of it on my phone than what I have here in my hand, and I want to make sure I get this one right. Stand by. Okay. All radical gender ideology, guidance, communication, policies, and forms are removed. How great is that? There is now a government-wide recognition that of the biological reality of two sexes. Clearly defines male and female. Woman is defined as an adult human female. Hallelujah.
Controversial stuff, too.
It never should have been hard, but it was, thanks to Biden-Harris. Agencies will cease pretending that men can be women and women can be men when enforcing laws that protect against sex discrimination. Great. The executive order directs that government identification, like passports and personnel records, will reflect biological reality, not self-assessed gender identity. Let's see, ends the practice of housing men in women's prisons and taxpayer-funded transitions for male prisoners, ends the forced recitation of preferred pronouns in schools and in government settings. Your school can no longer make you say he is a she when you know he is a he. And you don't have to say, it's my religion, or I don't want to, or they're just not allowed to do that anymore, thanks to this Trump executive order. It's a thing of beauty, and I cannot wait. Okay. Tariffs and trade, directing federal agencies to begin an investigation into trade practices, including trade deficits, unfair currency practices, counterfeit goods, and a special exemption allowing low-value goods to come to the U.S. tariff-free. Assessing China's compliance with the trade deal. I'll skip some of that, but it's just stuff on tariffs. Energy. Okay. Here, there's some great ones in here. Declare a national emergency on energy, which could allow Trump to unlock powers to speed permitting for pipelines and power plants. Order the federal government to roll back regulations that impede domestic energy production. Signal an intention to loosen the limits on tailpipe pollution and fuel economy standards, which Trump refers to as the electric vehicle mandate. Roll back energy efficiency regulations for dishwashers, shower heads, and gas stoves. Open the Alaska wilderness to more oil and gas drilling. Eliminate environmental justice programs across the government, which are aimed at protecting poor communities from excess pollution. It's not on here, but one of the ones in the original list is pulling the permits on all federal lands for those terrible wind farms. Yeah. That is huge. Let me tell you, down where I go in the summer in New Jersey, this is a huge issue for us. They are going to put in this huge wind farm like 9 miles from shore, where you will see, they will ruin the Jersey coastline. You will hear them. They will torture the sea life, including the whales. One of those things breaks and you cannot, the ocean gets ruined. The toxins that fall in, that's what happened in Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket last summer. It is absolutely huge that Trump said no more. And the only reason these are about to go through in New Jersey, among other places, is because the feds gave the permit and Trump just pulled it. I love that. It's all so good. He will sign an executive order reinstating service members who were unjustly expelled from the military for objecting to the COVID vaccine mandate with full back pay. Oh my God, I'm feeling euphoric. He will end remote work policies for the federal workforce, and he will order many agencies back to the office 4 to 5 days a week. And he's renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America and reinstating the name Mount McKinley to our highest mountain, which is in Alaska, because they changed the name thanks to wokeness under Barack Obama. God bless President Trump. What's your favorite? Which one do you want to talk about?
You know, what I thought was so interesting is these are some of the ones he highlighted in his address. What we read in the news over the weekend was that he's going to sign between 100 and 200, not totally clear. And I think there were mixed messages coming out from the Trump folks, how many exactly there were going to be. The ones he chose to highlight in his inaugural address were ones, these things probably have 70% support from the American people. So he was clearly strategic about what he chose to highlight. The gender and DEI one, that's the issue that he probably won the presidency on. I mean, his most viral ad was, "I'm for you, she's for they, them." Yes. And about Kamala Harris's support for taxpayer-funded gender transitions for illegal immigrants and prisons. The birthright citizenship one will be controversial, but overall, like, these are things that the broad segments of the American people support. So I'll be interested to see which other ones come out tonight, and do they get lost in this big shuffle of doing 100 as opposed to 10? He said in his post-inaugural address to his address in the overflow room, some people wanted me not to announce them all right away. I think he said this. Either he said it there or I read it.
Yes,
but he said they didn't want me to announce it all. They wanted me to trickle it out. And I said, no, we're doing it all today. He'll never be more powerful than he is today.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. So much goodwill, momentum.
It's a good idea.
People are like, yes, change. So what's your favorite in there, Em?
Well, I mean, it's got to be DEI because that's the catch-all. That's the umbrella term. They even sneak gender stuff under the DEI umbrella. Yeah. So, I mean, between those two, I think people understand, regular Americans understand how sweeping that is. And it's huge. But I was also struck. I mean, I got the press release of the executive actions from the White House. They wasted no time. They sent it out, I think, at 12:24 p.m. And I am looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, if somebody had sent this to me in 2012, I would have had an out-of-body experience saying, why do we need to do any of this, right? Like, so much of this is actually just rewinding the clock. Obama's administration is what changed Title IX to put, to completely radicalize our regime on sex and gender, to conflate gender identity and sex. He also put men in women's prisons. Like, so much of this stuff came out of the Obama administration. Trump was able to tweak some of it. Biden comes back in, reinstates all of it. And here we are, day one of the Trump administration. We're just rewinding the clock on so much of this in ways that it's like, it's not even him creating new ideas. It's literally just him rewinding the clock to sanity.
It's so true.
One of the questions it raised in my mind, actually, is it puts Democrats in an interesting position for the 2028 campaign. And if anybody cares to ask in the media, so where do they stand on these executive orders? Are they going to campaign against them? Will they undo them on their day one?
Gayle King's not going to ask about it.
No. Trump's not running again, but it does put them in an interesting spot.
You mentioned where the American people feel. So here's a couple of numbers to support that. There was a New York Times Ipsos poll that just came out on the gender, on a few of these issues. First of all, on mass deportations, 55% of the American people support them for all illegals. All of them. Not some, all of them. 55%. 63% to support deportations for those who arrived illegally in the past 4 years. 63%, 2/3 of the American public wants you out if you got here in the past 4 years, and a healthy majority, 55, wants you out irrespective of when you got here if you're here illegally. 87% support deporting illegal immigrant criminals. And then on, on foreign engagement with the foreign wars, 60% support less foreign engagement. On trans issues, here we go. Listen to this. They said, do you agree or disagree? Society has gone too far in accommodating trans people. 77% agree.
Accommodating. They even rigged that question.
Right.
They even rigged that question.
Totally. 77%, nearly 80% of the populace says we have gone too far. 93% of the GOP, 62% of Democrats say that. 62. Trans women, agree or disagree? Trans women should not be allowed in women's sports, trans women, which is a fake term. That's men pretending to be women, should not be allowed in women's sports. 79% agree with that. 79. 94% of GOPers, 67% of Dems. I mean, how the hell are they going to challenge Trump on this executive order? How the hell are the Dems in the Senate going to stop a vote on the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act that just passed the House, like they did when it passed the House under Biden's administration? It passed the House under his administration, it got to the Senate, and they stopped it. But now, yes, the GOP controls the Senate, but you need 60 votes to get cloture on a vote. You need 60 senators to say we'll have a vote on it. And good luck. You're telling me that all those Dems are going to say no in response to 67% of their voters saying we're against this. It's going to be a huge issue. And then last but not least, minors should not be able to get puberty blockers. Agree or disagree? 71% agree. They should not be allowed. 90% of the GOP, 54% of Dems. We've won on that issue. We've won. That battle's over, whether they know it or not.
Well, and I think the media is framing this. The video clip you showed of John Carl calling this dark. They're framing this. They're really trying hard to shoehorn this back into the American carnage narrative of Donald Trump being an aggressive fascist. He is aggressively instating fascism around the country. And to most Americans, they look at this and they're like, this just feels like we're returning to something normal, like a baseline. And that's not what the media senses with this at all. They think this is something that's like pushing in a different direction. But for a lot of people, it just feels like stability and calm.
Increased tariffs on our trade partners, tax cuts, regulation changes. There's a reason why gold is a diversification tactic in a market that remains uncertain. Now more than ever, Birch Gold is releasing their ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era, with a foreword by Donald Trump Jr. to get your free copy, along with Birch Gold's free information kit on gold. Just text MK to the number 989898. Here are the facts. The national debt continues to increase. Our interest payments on the national debt continue to increase. Gold can be your hedge against a weakened dollar. And Birch Gold can convert an existing IRA or 401k in whole or in part into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Text MK to 989898 and get your free copy of the ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era. There's no obligation, just information. Wouldn't you like to know why everybody's rushing to gold? With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, countless 5-star reviews, and thousands of happy customers, find out more about Birch Gold. Text MK to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.